Welcome back to the 7th Spot live chat area at the Newark Kit Car Festival. And I'm really pleased to say we've got Richard Hall from GBS Cars with us today.
Hi, morning.
Morning. Now, GBS are one of the, probably now, after 17 years, one of the most established suppliers of Lotus 7 inspired sports cars on the market. But with all the people we're speaking to this weekend, there is quite a backstory. So, Richard, how did you get involved?
I suppose it started from a young age, having a love of mechanical things and cars and everything. Always wanted to make my own cars. Started doing radio control cars when I was at junior school and carried that on, getting sponsored by a few companies at national level and competing. And then we read an article. There was an article in one of the RC magazines about kit cars, building your own cars, and that just sparked something.
Well, I suppose it's like a radio controlled car, just bigger.
Yeah, and if anything, probably simpler inside. So yeah, there was this article, and it kind of got us where we went. I think it was Donington Kit Car Show. We went to, and it was quite an eye opener. It's like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Want to make my own cars. And then when I was sixth form at school, we decided to build our first car. We had a look at a few and didn't have a lot of money in that, and we ended up buying a Robin Hood 2B as the first kit, which they were local as well, and it was like £3,000 for the comprehensive kit. It was it was good value. It seemed good at the time. We got into started building that and realised it probably wasn't as good as we thought, and ended up modifying it a lot and made our own pedal box on it. I think one of the first to put the Z-Tech in, did quite a few suspension mods and different things. And so I did a few track days and bits. Then went on to do mechanical engineering at uni.
Okay.
I ended up selling the 2B, and I wanted to build a low cost to do the 750 Motor Club Championship. So blew my student loan completely on that. And then,
as you do,
yeah. Got no money, but got a race car. So built the low cost, started racing that, doing a bit of that, sprints, few events, and a few races, and then finished uni. Kind of enjoyed uni, but realised it was kind of not what I expected. I was expecting more hands-on, actually more doing the time you allocated. So I was doing lots of other stuff in the meantime whilst at uni.
This is sort of health and safety's moved on from when we were all a bit younger and it was more hands-on.
No, I just assumed you'd go there and you'd be 9 to 5 and actually doing stuff, and the theory, the hands-on, and then the academic side was all good and you learn a lot, but there was a lot of free time. So we ended up doing car stuff, selling stuff, making stuff, and then finished uni, and Robin Hood had just been sold.
So this would have been about 2005?
2005,
yeah,
2006-ish, yeah. Just been sold, and they were selling off a load of old Mandarin stuff. And I'd literally finished that week, and it came up a list of stuff for sale. I thought, I'll go up and have a look and see if there's anything any good to do over the summer to make a few quid and get started. And went up, ended up getting talking to guy Mark Siegel, who was the guy that bought it.
I remember the name, yeah.
Bit of an interesting character, it turned out. And he offered us a job. It was like literally within a week of finishing uni, not even planned. So first job was to do a review on the Robin Hood Lightweight.
That was the bolt together, the aluminium one, wasn't it?
Yes. Fundamentally flawed, really.
Yeah, the one that, if I remember right, the IPA testers really took a dislike to, didn't they?
One guy caused a lot of issues, but they weren't very good, and I think it was done probably just to sell the company. And we kind of did a bit of a review on it, and it needed a lot of work to go anywhere. And then we started developing a new car, and it was kind of clearish how it was going to go. Robin Hood, they weren't car people, they were money people from London. They were charging the company ridiculous rents. It was all, something was off, without going into detail. And you could see where it was going to go, and it all ended up going tits up within about a year. And we're quite fortunate. When it went into administration, with grandson was really nice there. Ollie, the second name, he was the administrator. Got on really well with him, and I said I'd like to do something. And we put a bid in to purchase the assets and the name, the trademark and everything, and some of the machinery. And we ended up being successful on that. And was the start of Great British Sportscars.
So you more or less just walked out of university, walked into Robin Hood as it was,
Yeah.
got a job, and then within a year bought the assets and remains of...
With another chap who was brought in by Mark, who was he was into the cars and that, and it kind of he's since left and that, but it was quite a random way in.
Because all happened remarkably quickly by the sound of it.
Yeah, and we developed the hood though in that time, which we only made 9, I think, which it was probably a little bit too advanced in some ways, but there was a lot of good learning from that carried on to other things.
Okay. So all you took from, you didn't buy the business as such, you just brought the remains of the assets.
We bought all the intellectual property, trademarks, unencumbered assets, I think it was called, and stock, everything. And then set up GBS, so we could still service the spares and everything, and upgrades for the older cars, and we still do now quite a lot. So it's kind of been nice as well as we've got that legacy product. The negative side of it was Robin Hood didn't have the best name and reputation. So it was kind of defining GBS as its own entity. It's took a bit of time because people have, used the old name, but it's up to them. If you know what you're looking at, you know what you're looking at.
And that's only really probably people who've been around quite a long time, because we're going back 2006, so GBS started then, so that's 17 years. So that's quite an established company now.
Well, the Zero was right. 2007. So I forget the exact date. It was early 2007, the first Zero.
So that's 16 years. So that's quite well established.
And the Zero, the idea behind the Zero was a clean sheet of paper. So I wanted to get back to Colin Chapman's original sort of ethos concept of the 7, but look at it, how would you do that today? When you look at how the 7's evolved in the coaching, it was around a pre-crossflow or commentary climax engine, and it's changed, but it's fundamentally the same. So the plan was, people are bigger now, let's make it a bit more ergonomic for the driving position, have the full independent suspension all round. We want really long wishbones, so you can have quite a lot of compliance in the chassis without too much camber change and stuff. We wanted the engine further back, so we're a dead 50-50 weight distribution. That makes a big difference. We wanted to have a stiffer chassis, so we'll optimise the chassis, the space frame as a space frame structure, a mix of square and round tube where it's needed. But although round tube technically got its advantages for agility, we went with square tube on a lot of the outer parts, and then we used the aluminium panels as actually bonded on, so it's a full stress skin.
So they're not just proper with
it's not cosmetic, so the side panel and everything are fully stressed member, so you're actually, although the space frame is probably one of the stiffest out there, 7 types, by the time you then clad it in the aluminium, bond it on, you're about a 3-fold increase in torsional rigidity. That's not only the sides, that's all the footwells become bulkheads, the tunnel panels, and you've effectively then got a backbone structure taking your load pass through the centre of the car as well, and your external, so it makes for quite a stiff platform.
Oh wow. And how, so you looked back at 07, what have been the main development points of that over the year? Because presumably the car you're putting out today is not exactly the same as the car
No, it's changed massively, but the fundamental concept has stayed the same. So we got it, luckily, pretty good starting off with. But fundamentally the same, which means a lot of the mods we've got on the very latest car are backward compatible.
Well, that's great. That must be great for the older owners as well, because they can benefit from your development as well as time goes on.
Yeah, I think the very first Zero we made has actually got all the alley uprights on and everything now. So these are the verge stick back. And then we started off with what the company in that we had a very different approach to everyone else, in that we wanted to we actually wanted to be a manufacturer. When you look at a lot of the other people in the industry, not on all, but most sort of thing, they tend to buy everything in. Whereas we've taken the approach that we actually want to make all our chassis. So probably 80% of the car is in-house now.
Oh,
So from we're making our own calipers, uprights, all the wishbones and everything, our own dampers, which full alley monotube damper, all the aluminium panels, the bonnet louvering, the exhaust manifolds from the flange to the rolled tail, the whole system. We'll buy the cats in, but that and all the engine parts, so some alternator kits, the throttle bodies, gear linkage.
so it gives you great control over the supply side of it as well. You're not relying on trying to build a car, sort of a house, and so reliant on external sources. If one component is missing, you're stuffed really, aren't you?
It's our own fault if we haven't got it. But it means we're not compromising on the design. So like we've tried to sort of use I like going back to sort of first principles on the engineering and really take it back to the basics. And every bolt, if it's going in, like especially on calipers or things with high temperature, you get at least 3 times the bolt down to stretch and things like that. So the correct engineering principles there. From the ground up, every bolt is going to have 2 functions.
That was one big thing they pushed on the latest Morgan 3-wheeler, was that trying to make components do multiple jobs. And that was one way, going back to what you mentioned about Colin Chapman, is add lightness.
Yeah, add lightness. Yeah, we've got this motto, zero weight is infinite performance.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
So, if you take that principle to everything, the other thing that everyone kind of gets the wrong way around, it's always power to weight and that. But we've had it a few times. You can have a Zero and say a Porsche with exactly the same power to weight, but it should really be power to inertia.
Okay, yeah.
You've got all that energy. A Porsche at 100 mile an hour, Zero at 100 mile an hour. The weight and everything, you want to change direction, you want to stop, you want to go around something. It's that inertia and that energy transfer. So the lights are.
Yeah, I see where you got from. Yeah. So you got that Zero now well established, but you're getting some quite random projects coming as well.
Yeah.
Talking before we came off camera, it was just 2 extremes, from a Formula One car to a 1908 steam car.
Stanley steam car, yeah. So I think within the company myself, there's a very there's a love of engineering and cars and everything, and we get involved in some interesting stuff. I think especially when people see sort of the engineering capability and some of the things we're doing, it kind of it can fit into other disciplines. So we currently have a Lotus 1991 Lamborghini engine F1 car that we've done a full rebuild on, so stripped it down to a complete tub. Everything's been done, destructive tested. Just waiting on the engine coming back. So that's on the rebuild stage. And that's quite interesting how that era of F1, I think it's just before it got really complicated.
Yeah, that was great.
It's similar technology to where we're at on the Zero now. And we've updated that by putting the sort of modern life racing ECU, put some safety features in there, and engine stops and limps to bring it up to speed, and the engine's bloody fortune. So having them safety parameters around it. So we've kind of done that, and some of the learning from that then comes back onto the Zero and vice versa.
I can see it. There's something that doesn't seem to naturally fit with building Zeros, gives you knowledge and information experience that you can then feed back into the Zero. So it's a win-win, really. Isn't it?
So on the engine mapping and stuff, when you've got an engine that's making 700 horsepower revving to whatever and all that, and there's a lot more finesse in the configuration and mapping, and we can pull that back into the Zero and different things.
Presumably you're not taking much from the Stanley steam car that you can put into the Zero.
No, it's probably the other way around. We're using they were made, a guy in a pillar drill drilling the boilers out, or probably steam powered, and we're doing it on the CNC. So the precision we're adding to it and everything.
So that's where you are now. Where do you see yourselves going in the future?
So the plan at the minute, we want to grow. Well, the Zero's constantly evolving. There's some new bits we're working on. Nothing massive, but just taking it up a little bit. More refinement, really. We want to get more factory builds out there. Carry on with the export. I think the plan is we really want to go hard after Caterham. we're pretty confident now we've got a car that's superior to them, especially on an engineering level and that. We probably haven't got the brand and maybe the money behind us yet, but we're after them.
If you're gonna go big.
Pretty much, yeah. It has been a few times on different gambles. Shit or bust, we're doing it. When we bought the first machines and that, it's why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we want to grow that. So actually, we're doing a few. Well, we did a Zero EV a few years ago, probably about 4 or 5 years ago now, which we ran around a bit. We didn't really publicise it much because we weren't sure where it was going, and the technology wasn't quite right at the time, or it wasn't viable cost-wise. But that car's currently having quite a fancy hydrogen system in it that we're working with a company, and then we're building another Zero battery electric concept car, which we'll hope to have out maybe back end of this year, early next, just as just to see where the market goes. Not 100% convinced, but we've got to dip our toe in the water and see where it goes.
Well, that whole market at the moment is evolving so fast.
Yeah. And it's getting the stuff at the right cost is the problem. Everything's so expensive, but we're going to do our own transmission on this one, which will bring the cost down and give them a bit more flexibility. We've done a couple for customers where we put like the Tesla units in and different things, and they're nice, they're good power, but they're heavy and they're big, and you kind of lose that power to weight ratio, even though you think you've got more power. Yeah,
you're going back to your problem with your Porsche versus Zero approaching the corner. Yeah,
you put a 400 horsepower Tesla motor in, it's all very well, but then you've got all the other stuff, the cooling, the batteries to feed it, contactors, it all gets heavy again. So there's going to be this sweet spot somewhere, power to weight on the electric stuff, that you get to a point where you're just adding more power to carry more batteries. You're not actually increasing the performance.
Yeah, you sort of diminish your returns, really, isn't it? Completely, yeah.
So it's just finding that sweet spot, really.
That's been really interesting, Richard. I hope people at home have really sort of understood where GBS are at and where they're going in the future. And we'll put a link to their website below. And in the meantime, hopefully you've enjoyed it, and you'll click that like and subscribe button.